everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Andrea. It's nice to have you guys here. Today I have another Fibro chat video, and I don't usually do them quite as close together as I'm doing this one and the most recent one, but I did get a comment on either on the video itself or someone messaged me privately asking me how I balance my teaching duties with kind of caring for my fibromyalgia. And I thought that was a really interesting question and one that I hadn't really thought of before. I thought that given that we're only halfway through the semester and, you know, some people might be struggling with this and might want these tips now rather than later, I thought I would just do this video now instead of later. So diving right in, I think the number one most important thing is prioritizing sleep. I have to get enough sleep in the day. If I don't get enough sleep, everything is messed up. It's just not going to work. Sleep is really important, and I know that seems redundant or like, well, duh, but I think sometimes for those of us with fibro, things like getting enough sleep seems like common sense, and yet it's often something that we still don't do enough of. I know there have been times where I've not paid attention to how much I'm sleeping and I stay up too late. Usually it's staying up too late. It's hard for me to wake up early. I don't wake up early unless I absolutely have to, and that feels like a whole separate thing. So prioritizing sleep is really, really, really important. I make sure that no matter what, I'm going to bed between 10 and 11 at night unless I've got insomnia. But even then, one thing I don't let myself do that much of. I have done it in the past, but I've tried not to make a habit of it. I don't do teaching work in the middle of the night if I'm up with insomnia. So that is time where I will read a novel, or I will do some crocheting or something like that. I won't do teaching work because I feel like grading or responding to emails. I feel like responding to emails at 1 a.m. because you've got insomnia sends the wrong message to your students. I don't want my students to think that they will normally get emails from me at 1 a.m. It also, it just messes up that kind of work mind, rest mind. And so that's something else, along with prioritizing sleep, is getting your mind, body, all of that into kind of a routine of this is when we work and this is when we rest. So kind of getting your work-rest cycle worked out. Some people work better at night, and so if you have a schedule where you don't have to wake up and go teach early in the morning and you want to do all of your grading from 9 o'clock to midnight because you're not getting emails from people, or that's a time that you can block out and then just, you know, sleep in until 10 a.m. If you can do that, great. So figure out what the best work rest cycle is for you. For me, I know that I work my best. I'm at my peak performance kind of in the middle of the day. That kind of 11 to 4 o'clock is kind of the best time. During those hours, whether I'm at home or on campus, that is when I will do grading, do lesson planning, do the things that require more mental focus. Before 11, after 4 is when I will respond to emails, do other kind of more simple, easy one-off tasks. I teach in the evening, and so that goes to another tip. Arrange your schedule if possible. So I know I am physically and mentally useless early in the morning. So for me to ask to teach at 7:30 a.m. is laughable. I will never do that. Like, I'll never put that down as a possible work time for me. So because I can, now this won't really apply if you teach K through 12 and you teach, you know, what is it these days? 7:30, I think. 7:30 to like 3:30. What is normal like K through 12 schedule like if you're in high school? I feel like when I was in high school it was about 7:40 to like 3 o'clock or 3:30 in the afternoon. So if you're teaching within the K through 12 system, then you are kind of working that kind of 7 to 4 kind of schedule, and so you don't really have any say about your schedule. I teach at a university. I am within the writing programs at my university, so I am allowed to, we fill out a teaching request a schedule request form every semester. So like my fall 2019 schedule is already set, people are already registering for it, and I've just turned in the request form for spring 2020. That's a really weird feeling. That's something that I have to my advantage. So I can kind of specify that I don't really want to teach anything earlier. 10:30 is the earliest possible class time that I've set myself for, and I don't like teaching later than 6 o'clock. I'm teaching until 7:15 this semester, and that has kind of been a bit of a mistake. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a difference from teaching until 5:45 last semester, and yeah. So I teach a 4:30 to 5:45 on Tuesday and Thursday, and then also on Tuesday and Thursday I teach a 6 to 7:15. And then I've got one online class. I've got 4 in person and 1 online. So it's a lot. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. I'm teaching hybrid classes, so half of my work is done in person and half is done online. That's something else I choose. I love being in the classroom and I love getting to know my students, but teaching a completely face-to-face 2-day-a-week or 3-day-a-week class would be way more classroom time than I'm physically capable of doing. Like, I would do it because I need my job, but if I can request to do hybrids, onlines, a mix of the two, like I've just kind of figured that's kind of what my body and mind are capable of doing, and the rest kind of needs to be in some kind of online format so that I'm working at home and I can do that at my own pace. So if you have flexibility with your schedule in terms of being able to request working mornings, if you're good at mornings and then run out of energy by the afternoon, or working afternoons and evenings like I do because I'm absolutely useless in the morning. So in the morning I can get to my desk by like 8, 9 o'clock and be checking email and grading papers and like working here at home. But if I had to be physically in a classroom by 9 a.m. teaching, especially given how far I live from campus and the commute, like it would not be a good thing. So if you have any flexibility over your schedule, I recommend taking advantage of that and kind of figuring out for yourself, okay, when is good for me? When would be the best time of day for me to teach? And request a teaching schedule that can kind of accommodate that. When it comes to the actual work, so I like to divide up my tasks and duties and batch schedule them. So if I'm gonna grade, I'm not gonna grade a couple papers here and there. I'm gonna sit down and do all my grading in as large of a block of time as possible. I try not to sit down to grade unless I know I can at least get through a whole class worth of papers in one day. So I know that it's rare that I can sit down and do all 5 classes in one go, and that's 100 for me this semester. That'd be 100 papers. So grading 100 papers in one go, even though my assignments are typically 1 to 2 pages, they're not like 6-page essays. Doing 100 at once would still be ridiculous, and I wouldn't put myself through that. But doing 1 or 2 classes as a batch, I will do. And sometimes I'll do like 1 class as a batch, give myself then like an hour or 30 minutes or an hour of doing emails or lesson planning, and then do another batch of papers. So kind of doing things in groups. So emails, again, I don't like to sit and answer a couple emails and then go do something else. Like, I'm going to give myself 30 minutes. I'm going to get to dealing with emails in a minute. But like, I'll sit down and I'll do emails for a block of time, and then I won't look at my inbox for a while. Let me just do that tip right now. So limit time responding to increments. I try to do 30-minute to 1-hour increments twice a day. Maybe 3 times if I'm getting a lot of emails. So like next semester when I'm teaching 3 online classes, I will increase the amount of time I spend on emails because I'll be getting more emails. But I still don't have this mentality of every time my inbox goes up a number, goes up 1 or 2 emails, I've got to go check it. That's a mistake. Don't do that to yourself. So I will sit down and do it in 30-minute or 1-hour increments and go through my inbox, respond to whatever has come in since the last time I came, and do it until either I clear my inbox or I reach my 30-minute or 60-minute time allotment, whatever I've decided, whichever comes first. So if I clear my inbox in 20 minutes, cool, I'm done, and maybe I'll go make myself some tea or something. But if it takes longer, if my 60 minutes has elapsed and I haven't cleared my inbox, That's fine. I'm going to stop doing emails. I'm going to switch to something else because there will always be more emails. The other thing with the emails is don't waste your time on emails. So there are certain things where I will just skim it and then I will add things to folders. I don't usually delete departmental emails. I will skim them and then add them to, I've got a folder in my emails for just instructor info. So they will all go into there. That way, if someone references, hey, did you see that email from that person? I can pull it up and read it in more detail if it ends up being something I need to read. A lot of it isn't. A lot of it, I can just skim it and then put it in the folder. Calendar event announcement emails, if the headline or the subject line doesn't sound interesting enough, I just delete it without opening it. Do not waste time on emails. Emails will suck up your time and your energy. So learn how to prioritize your inbox. I feel like that's a whole other video topic. But yeah, don't waste time on that. Don't get distracted by that because that is one of those kind of silent energy suckers. You don't realize how much energy you are wasting on emails until you get to the end of the day and realize, holy crap, I've spent all day reading emails that really don't matter. Don't do that. Going back to the kind of dividing up tasks and duties and batch schedule them, in my calendar, I've got time kind of blocked out of this is my teaching time every day so that I make sure that I get my 40 hours for the week because I don't work a typical 9 to 5, 8 to 5 schedule. So I'm not doing 8 hours every day in all one lump in terms of I go to the office, I do my 8 hours, I come home. That's not my schedule, which is really great for having fibromyalgia because it means if I have a rough day or if I have a rough morning, I can do my 8 hours towards the later part of the day and I can work from like noon to 8 if I have to. Or if I have a day where I can only do 6 hours, I can work a couple hours on the weekend. So I feel like as long as I'm doing my 40 hours for the week and my work is getting done, then I'm okay. I kind of block out time in my schedule, but then within that, I will also kind of then within my bullet journal say, okay, my main tasks for today are lesson planning, setting up the next week in my online class, and grading papers for my 2 classes on Thursday. And so then I will sit down and I will do those tasks in order and not jump around between tasks, and I will do them until they are completed, and then I will move on to the next one. Some of these tips go back to basic productivity tips, which I've talked about before in the past, but I'm probably due for an update video. But I'm a huge fan of the Ivy Lee method, which just kind of in a nutshell basically says, list out your top 5 priorities for the day, rank them from 1 to 5 in terms of importance. So 1 being the most important, like if that is the only thing you get done today, you will be happy, to number 5, which is like, it would be great to get this done today, but if it rolls over tomorrow, I'll survive with that. And then you work your way down that list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order, not jumping around between the 2. You don't move on to number 2 until number 1 is done. I'm a huge fan of that. It got me through my PhD, it got me through my dissertation, and it's really helped me with teaching. So I will decide, okay, most important thing today is getting the next week set up for my online students so that they know what they're doing. Then I really need to grade these papers because I'm about to get another batch. I need to stay on top of that. And then I need to do this other task and then maybe read emails or check emails for an hour. So like I will work through that list and I won't deviate from that list. So you kind of, in order to help yourself, you kind of have to get really rigid with your task list and make sure that you are being as productive as possible. If I have learned one thing from having fibromyalgia, as well as dealing with mental health issues and IBS and all of the chronic stuff that is going on in my life, the one most important thing I have learned is finding ways of working smarter, not harder. So if I can make a practice more efficient, if I can find ways of streamlining things, I'm all about that. And I will try to do a video on that, not as a fibro chat, but just as a general kind of productivity video. I will try to talk about like some of my tips for working smarter, not harder soon. Definitely let me know if you want that, by the way. Give the video a thumbs up if you do, or say so in the comments, and I will try to do that sooner rather than later. But dividing up your tasks, prioritizing them, and kind of being a bit ruthless about how you work through them. Multitasking is a fallacy. It doesn't work, doesn't help you get things done better or faster. It will make things take longer and it will drain your energy. So if you've been someone who has been multitasking, stop, especially if you have a chronic illness, because you're not helping yourself. I'm not saying that I don't sometimes start working on something and leave it, but that's things like emails or things like longer term projects. I'll work until I get to a stopping point and then I'll switch. But if I'm grading, I'm not going to grade 3 papers and then go check my email for 5 minutes and then switch to lesson planning for 5 minutes and then come back and grade another few papers. If you honestly think your brain works better that way, then okay, I'm going to trust that you know yourself best. But from my experience, and from what a lot of experts are saying, multitasking actually isn't a benefit and you're not actually getting more work done. And I have found that it just makes me feel more stressed and more crazed when I try to work like that, of just bouncing back and forth between different things. It ends up making me feel 10 times more exhausted, 10 times faster than I normally would. So yeah. And then on the subject of exhaustion, and kind of my last tip, when all else fails, coffee. So I have spoken before about how I am not really drinking caffeine anymore. I pretty much drink decaf, which yes, I know has a little bit of caffeine in it, but not as nearly as much as regular caffeinated coffee. And a tea, I drink herbal tea, so I'm not getting any caffeine from that. So I will primarily drink decaf coffee or herbal tea. And sometimes just the act of having the decaf coffee, going through the ritual of making it, or sipping on tea kind of perks me up, renews my energy, and makes me feel better. But when I'm teaching until 7:15, there are some times where I am teaching and I literally cannot get my words out. I've always said that caffeine is for emergency situations. Sometimes on a Tuesday or Thursday when I'm teaching, those are emergency situations. So sometimes I will stop at Starbucks and get myself something, or I will just make my coffee here at home. So yeah, I am sometimes relying on coffee just to perk my brain up. The thing with coffee is it can make the fibromyalgia pain worse if you drink a lot of caffeine. So I've stopped drinking it every day because I don't want it to like cause this buildup of inflammation in my body, but I will still drink it in emergency situations like that. So figure out what works for you, whatever little trick you've got to use to kind of perk yourself up. I feel like there are probably more things that I do, but those are definitely the big ones. I can try to do a follow-up video to this if I think about it, but I just wanted to get some of my top, these are definitely the things I know that help me get through this. So let's just put this in a video and get it up in case it will help any of you get through the rest of your semester, trying to get through the last bit of the school year. We need all the help we can get. I'm at midterms right now. I'm on spring break. Spring break is this week. So this video will go up on Monday, and the Monday of spring break. So I'm on break. I'm trying. That's another thing. When you get the breaks, oh my God. Take the weekends, take the breaks, spring break, fall break, winter break, 3-day weekends for federal holidays or national holidays, whatever country you live in. Like if you get a day off, take it. Take it. It's so important. I feel like throughout my PhD, I forced myself to work through all these breaks because I was essentially doing 2 full-time jobs in terms of teaching and doing my PhD. So it was a lot. It was certainly more than 1 full-time job. It was kind of like the PhD was full-time and then being a teaching assistant was like a part-time job. And so I was doing 50, 60 hours a week. And it was hard to take time on the weekends. But now that I'm done with my PhD and I'm working full time, I'm trying to remind myself, take the break. So I'm not saying I'm not going to work at all this week because I've got work I need to do, but I probably won't work more than, I'd say 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours, which I'm going to spread over probably a couple days, 2 or 3 days. So it'll be like working 2 or 3 hours a day, a few of the days this week. But there's going to be other days between Monday and the following Monday, so like this week and then the weekend, that I'm just not gonna do anything. So those are my top tips. Hopefully this helped. If it did, please give the video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe if you are not subscribed. Say hi in the comments or leave questions or requests for other videos in the comments, and I will see y'all soon in the next video. Thank you very much for watching this one. Bye-bye.